How goes the family? Welcome back to Larry's Anything Goes. Hopefully you guys have a great and exceptional evening. All right, so tonight's rant, it's been a minute since I've done a late night rant, even though the time is crazy. This season's changing and it feels like it's earlier than it actually is, but it's been a minute since I've done a rant on a Sunday. Just try to keep up, but life happens and life is more important. Real day-to-day life, remember, real day-to-day life is way more important than being on social media and making content, even though as passionate I am of doing it, but you got to take care and handle your business before it handles you, quoting good old Exhibit. But anyways, let's talk about the gender wars. Man versus woman, woman versus man. It's been going on since the beginning of time. With social media, it's even more so. The kind of discussions that I like to listen to and even partake in is logical discussions. Because people can get emotional, men can get emotional, females can get emotional, women can get emotional, especially when passions and tensions are high when you're talking about what men want, what women want, the best way to court a significant other. Men are supposed to court the woman. And there's nothing wrong with that. The main reason why I'm talking about this subject matter today is because of a personal issue that's going on with my best friend. And the video that went viral all through TikTok where the young lady was pissed off at the guy for taking her to the Cheesecake Factory. Now, last time I checked, there's no freaking rules in regards to where a person can have a first date. I've had a first date at a nice restaurant with a female. I've had a first date at a mid-level restaurant like the Cheesecake Factory with a female. I've had a first date at Red Robin. And this is back in my, this is back, and that's a fast food joint. This is back in my early 20s when I didn't, know any better. But the young lady still went out with me. All right. So that's what it is. But I'm older now, so of course I do. When you know better, you do better. But the Cheesecake Factory, one, is not a bad spot. Two, as nice as that guy was, I would have told you get the hell out of my car and have a nice life. Because I've done that to a female before. Back in my early 20s, a female when I picked her up. Bear in mind, I'm 21, 22. This young lady did not have a car, and when I was riding a bucket, back then. And when I picked her up, she's like, this is your car. And then the whole way, as we're halfway to the restaurant that I was going to take her to, and I believe it was going to be Chili's or Applebee's. I'm in my early 20s, so it is what it is. She kept making fun of me and about making fun of my car. I pulled over at the local gas station. It was a Shell gas station, I remember, on a very busy roadway. And I said, you need to get the F out. I just kept it simple and straight to the point. I was as vulgar as possible and did not care. And she said, what do you mean? I said, well, obviously you don't want to go on a date with me. Just kind of like this gentleman, except he had way more, class about how he approached the situation. I was like, yeah, you need to get out. This isn't going to happen. And, she got out and she was laughing because she's like, you're not going to drive off. And I said, my favorite words I say when I'm done with people, I said, have a nice life. And she had a nice life. I never saw her again. And back in that time, we're talking about 2004, 2005. So this is when, social media was starting to blow up. But the only time you could get on social media you had to get on your computer. You had a cell phone back then. You couldn't get on any of these other social media websites now like we do now. I mean, heck, I'm on Instagram right now. You couldn't go. There was no such thing as going live on, at least that I remember, on Black Planet, MySpace, going live on YouTube, going live on Facebook. I don't even think Facebook was in existence at that time. I didn't find out about Facebook until about 2007, 8, 9 time frame. So. And even now, it's hard to believe I've been on all these other social media outlets for over a decade now. But I digress. But anyways, I understand the gender wars on both sides. I'm from the DMV area, a very superficial area. The most superficial areas in the United States of America is New York City, The Washington, D.C. metro area, Maryland and Virginia on both sides, all three sides of the Potomac River, very superficial. Atlanta, Georgia, Miami, Florida, Los Angeles, California. Now, there are other cities where people are very superficial, like people, would name San Francisco, the whole Bay Area, Seattle, even Denver, Colorado. Places that it's the most expensive. I understand the aspect of getting somebody's resume later on in the relationship, not in the beginning of the relationship, and getting their financial background, especially once you get older. Because when you get older, you're supposed to, as my friend says, you're supposed to be dating with a purpose. The purpose to build a strong commitment, regardless if you get married or not, because that's just my personal opinion. That's just a certificate. I don't knock the people who believe in the religious aspects of it. I'm all about the economic aspects of it, because a lot of people, men and women nowadays, are like, hey, they're looking at things from an economic perspective, not just a I'm in love with you perspective. I want to hold you and be with you forever perspective. Hey, love doesn't pay the bills. And in the world where inflation is a killer, you have to be about your paper. You got to be about your bills. But I bring this up, the gender wars, because it's like, okay, it's one thing to have those discussions, but have them later on in the dating process. Not even just the relationship process, but the dating process. Because unfortunately, too many people put all their cards. Like I said, life is like a game of poker. You're supposed to be able to put yourself out there a little bit, but you got to keep your game face up at all times. Because if you don't, you put yourself in a position where you can get screwed. It is what it is. But a lot of times people will put all the cards out there on the freaking table, and it makes it so much easier for that person to get over on you, or just to say, hey, I fold, I'm walking away, have a nice life. And that's what's happening with all of the relationships in today and tomorrow's world. Great example. Try to hook two individuals up. I'm pretending like I'm playing the love doctor. But the one individual is asking all the wrong questions and hasn't even met the individual that I'm trying to, quote unquote, say, hey, I think you guys have, quote unquote, the same values. I think you guys are interested in the same things. You might make a great couple. Go out on a date, see how it goes, go from there. But of course, I get the same old superficial, especially DMV questions. What does a person do for a living? What's the person's credit score? Does the person have a degree? All the superficial stuff that does not. There are people that do not have a college degree and will never have a college degree, and especially in today's world, make way more money than a person who has 5 college degrees. Am I knocking anybody who has degrees? No, it's because I have a degree. But when I meet somebody, that's not the first thing I'm thinking of. Especially in the world of all these entrepreneurs, not overnight success, but these entrepreneurs who become millionaires and billionaires and have never walked across the stage to get a paper diploma. I'm just going to keep it real. Now asking the simple questions, hey, what's this person's background? Hey, does this person have kids? Simple things like that I get. Maybe even say, hey, what does the person do for a living? Okay, great. But then when all you do is look at the superficial things and not ask about what the person, not just about where the person's at, but where the person's trying to go, that's when you start to lose me. And I'm just like, wow, isn't that something? But I digress. And, the gender wars will continue to manifest and blow up because you have 2 cultures happening. So on the men's side, and I'm going to talk about the cultures I care for, and the cultures I don't care for. And I'm not talking about people's religion or ethnicity or anything of that nature. I'm just talking about cultural mindsets. All right. So the cultures that I despise on the female side, I can have it all. I don't have to bring anything to the table mindset. I just have to look good and everything will fall in its place. And then the culture I don't like from the man's side, she just needs to come here, shut up and put out, do what I say, not what I do as I say and not do as I do, and go from there. Know that I'm the man and that's what it's going to be. Now, both of those mindsets say no partnership. Both of those mindsets are not saying, hey, this is what I value, but I want to know what you value. You hear the me, self-entitlement on both sides of the aisle. Now, the culture I respect on the female side the one that is about their business. It's not just about being with a man so that the man can take care of her on all aspects, but is actually looking for partnership. All right. And not looking at partnerships from a snooty, I'm looking down on you, but partnership saying, hey, where's your mindset at? It's not about just about where you're at now, but it's about where you're going. Can you see where the individual is going? Excuse me. Great example. Snoop Dogg's wife, who's been his high school sweetheart, she saw where this man was going, and she still stood by him, and they're still together to this day. And they built a great family, and they built a great economic empire. So I leave it at that. And then a great example when it comes to the men. The men are like, hey, not only do I have my stuff together, or I'm trying to get my stuff together, whether I'm climbing the ladder in a career, whether I'm climbing the ladder with a business, or even both, because a lot of people are doing both nowadays. But so I'm doing that, but I see you being my so-called significant other, hopefully in the future, but there's things not only there are great things that I bring to the table from an economic standpoint, but there are things that I want to do, help build you up so that you could be successful all at the same time. And we might not be together forever, even though that would be the goal. However, if we do part ways, we'll part ways in a sense like a corporation does when they dismantle the corporation, but they're able to sell off their assets, take those profits and live off of, or take those profits, live off of, and sink them into other businesses and corporations, things of that nature, other assets at the same time. Because relationships, marriages, partnerships, it's a business. And if you don't, that's why I always say I respect the arranged marriage aspect more now. 10 to 20 years ago, I couldn't fathom it, but now I understand it and respect it more because the contract has been negotiated. It is a contract. And therefore, majority of the time, that's why in those cultures who practice arranged marriages have a higher track record of not having as many divorces as you do in regular Western societies as of to this day. Because the purpose of marriage in all societies before you even had a place called America, the UK, Germany, Nigeria, South Africa, Mexico, Panama, El Salvador, whatever. It was all about bringing families together, bringing tribes together, bringing villages together, bringing nations together. Families together to protect the tribe, protect the village, protect the herd. Partnership. That's what it's all about. And then love comes later. So, before I end this off, all I'm going to say is, to the men that are straight, that are just trying to dog the women out, let them know. The one thing I respect about the younger generation is they're way more upfront with what they want, whether you disagree with it or not. If a guy comes to a female and say, hey, I just want some, then it is what it is. You as a female can say, yeah, I'm with that too, or no. And that's why a lot of these guys nowadays, whether you agree with it or not, they end up just booking sessions with OnlyFans women or OnlyFans sex workers, and they have a good time. And my mindset is if it's consensual, I mean, in a sense, it's legal prostitution, and I'm not for it. But hey, if it's consensual, do what you do. And it must obviously it's a big business because I'm sure with us living in the online world, a lot of police departments aren't really locking people up for this because they're not calling it a session. It's kind of like escorting in a sense. And then, of course, if sex happens, then it happens. So that's what legal prostitution is. But you have a generation of men that's like, hey, I don't want to be in a relationship with you. I just want to have sex with you. Like you have a lot of women that are like, hey, I don't want to be in a relationship with you. I just want to have sex with you. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's not the end of the freaking world. But in my mindset, I just let them know that, and it's all good. Honesty is the key. So many people have to play games, especially bum people, because, they know if they don't play the game, they're not going to be able to get what they want. Mind manipulation, mind control. It is what it is. And there's some people just like having that satisfaction that they got away with something. That's another thing to take into consideration. But long story short, that's what it is. And then to the men and females who actually want to date with a purpose, be in a good relationship, get married, whatever you want to call it. those are the ones that need to have that conversation and be upfront with it. But just don't come at it from such an arrogant perspective. Arrogant place to the point where you turn people off. Because a lot of times, like I said, life is like a poker game. If you put all your cards out on the freaking table, you're being honest, yeah, but it's just how are you being honest with it? Are you being honest to the point where you're being snooty, to the point where the people don't even want to deal with you anymore? Because that happens a lot, especially where I come from, the DMV area. You have a lot of men and women that are like done with it. I'm good. And that's why I was never a big fan of even dating females from the DMV area, because 9 times out of 10, they had too much drama. We didn't want the same things that we quote unquote wanted. And then number 3, they were just snooty. I always tell the story about the one time, and I had fun with this female. I was at this was back in 2009. I was at my former coworker, real nice guy. We were celebrating his birthday at a nice plush club in Washington, D.C. So, well-to-do, got a table, laid-back atmosphere. And majority of the females there were snooty. All the guys there were arrogant pricks. I know I shouldn't have said that, but whatever. So it was a good atmosphere for people like that. So we was all suited and booted. So I was asked, the only female that even came to talk to me, because I wasn't even there to holler at anybody. I was there to just celebrate my friend's birthday. The only female that came up to me, she says, "Oh, you're a lawyer." And I'm just like, here we go with the snooty stuff. So just to be funny, I was like, "Yeah, I'm a lawyer. I work for the Department of Justice downtown D.C. It's like, "Oh, yeah, I thought I recognized you. We worked on specific cases before." I said, "Yeah, we certainly did." And I walked away and I started laughing. And when I told my friend who was there, I was celebrating his birthday, he's like, "Well, yeah, you do kind of look like a young lawyer." I was like, "Oh, thank you. I appreciate that." But moral of the story is, the gender war thing, I think having a discussion and being forward with each other and just honest with each other is the best route. But is there any reason to keep going to war online? Not really, but a lot of people like to, and it is what it is. So I can't say anything about that. But me personally, I find it to be a waste of time. And a lot of people, men and women, need to lower their expectations, because you put yourself up on this pedestal thinking that you're that dude and you're that woman, and 9 times out of 10, you're not. You're just regular and basic. You go to work, you pay your bills, and all the degrees in the world don't mean a freaking thing in 2023 going into 2024. All right? Most people are going to work and paying bills. Recognize that. Is there anything wrong with that? Absolutely not. But if you try to make yourself beyond what I just said, you're going backwards with it all. All right? So, on that note, have a great night. Just wanted to get that off my chest, or as Kevin Hart would say it with your chest. So I just wanted to get that off my chest. Thank you for watching. Give me your perspective on why a lot of people aren't in relationships anymore. Why are relationships not even really working anymore? Because at the end of the day, a lot of people just don't want to be honest with themselves. A lot of people don't want to be honest with the people that they're quote unquote courting. Even the men that are courting the female, they don't want to be honest with them. The women that are quote unquote showing interest, because the women are not quote unquote not supposed to court men, but the women that are showing interest, hopefully you're not going out like that female did with the whole, I can't believe you're taking me to, you took me to the Cheesecake Factory. When, if you see the video, he made reservations for a nicer restaurant, but she made him wait for like almost an hour, wait in the car for her. And the reservation, long story short, the time for the reservations, it was over with. So with that being said, he's like, "Okay, well, I'll take it to the Cheesecake Factory." And she's like, "This isn't good enough. I'm too beautiful to go to the Cheesecake Factory." And I'm just like, I think places like the Cheesecake Factory, Bahama Breeze, I think those are places like that. It's not top notch, but it's not McDonald's. It's not IHOP. And heck, for a lot of people, going to IHOP and Denny's, going to a Silver Diner or breakfast place is fine for a first date as well. And that's cool. Everybody has their thing. Me personally, I think the first date is going to be a place like the Cheesecake Factory, Bahama Breeze. Trying to think of any other restaurants that I wouldn't mind taking a date to. I would say Chili's, but Chili's is really a sports bar. Ruby Tuesdays is more like a sports bar, but those are still good places to go to as well. Even though they kind of run down, like they're not what they used to be. But heck, most of these restaurants aren't what they used to be anymore. or maybe even a nice mom and pop place. So, sometimes you don't need to go all out, because I think you have to earn that. Your looks are looks. Beautiful, quote, a handsome man to a beautiful woman, looks are looks. You got to earn something. Like females say, you have to earn the right to have sex with me, or earn the right to be in the bedroom, or be in my life. Well, men are like, yeah, you got to earn the right to get that kind of treatment too. Your looks is that can spark a conversation. But where's your head at? Where's your mindset at? Just the guy in the video. And please look this up on YouTube. Just say "woman in Cheesecake Factory." It'll pop up. You look it up on YouTube. Look it up on TikTok. And he's like, because he's like, hey, I have expectations. Like, he's like, you have expectations when it comes to a man courting a woman. He's like, I have expectations when it comes to having a first date. And he's like, and I feel disrespected, so I'm going to take you home, and the date is over with. And then the most entertaining aspect of that is her whole attitude changed when my man was like, yeah, I'm going to take you home. And she's like, he's really backing out. He's like, well, you don't want to eat here anyways, and I'm not taking you anywhere else. So I feel disrespected, and I'm going to take you home. And that's that. And she's like, and as he's driving her home, she's like, so there can't be a compromise? He's like, no. I'm like, he's like, every aspect of, as far as the expectations that I thought that you have to meet to go on a date with me, for me to spend hundreds of dollars. Because when you go, I think it's at Aria's, but when you take a person to a nice, like, if I take a woman to Legal Seafood, Ruth Chris, okay, forgot the other place at the steakhouse, Morton Steakhouse. These are real, quote unquote, well-to-do restaurants. You got to earn that. You don't just get that red carpet treatment. You got to show that, hey, you are worthy of this. Just like when a woman allows you to in her life, and when a woman allows you in her place, and when a woman allows you to have sex with them, most respecting women will be like, hey, you have to earn that. So just, it goes both ways. And that's why I said it. That's why it made me laugh, and I respected that man. He was nicer than me. I would have told her to get out, or you get McDonald's. If you want to continue this date, we're gonna go to McDonald's. I don't even like McDonald's, but that's how much you've ticked me off. Okay, so that's why I'm just like, and then of course she's like, her whole attitude changed. She's like, oh, I'm a diva. Oh, I'm a woman. Hear me roar. And then when he was starting to drive her home, she's like, her whole attitude changed. She's like, okay, well, I thought there could be some sort of compromise, but if that's the way you feel. I'm just like, well, how did you expect this guy to feel? Because I guess the way that he looked, he didn't look like a quote unquote tough guy. So she thought that she could walk all over him, and he should be happy that I'm dating. I'm going on a date with him. And the guys that have their stuff together, because that are single and don't have children, that pool is getting smaller and smaller every day in this country, United States of America. I can't speak for other countries, but in this country, it's getting smaller and smaller, especially once you hit the age of 30 for men and women. That pool is getting smaller and smaller of men or women that don't have kids, don't have other obligations, that have their stuff together financially, and that can't afford to go out to a good meal, eat a good meal at a nice, well-to-do restaurant, or go take a trip someplace. That pool is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. All right? And I'm just going to say it, I'm not even picking on the females, but I'm picking on the females like her. If you're a female that saw that video on TikTok and was like, I'm disgusted, because when I posted it on social media, a lot of women were disgusted with this woman's behavior. So I'm talking to the women that act like that woman in the TikTok video. If you go on a date with a guy who has his stuff together, who's a nice guy, you find him attractive, he doesn't have the crazy baby mama drama, or if he does have kids, he's taking care of them, and you don't mind it because you have kids, okay, great. Those guys are getting smaller and smaller every day, because the patience of men that have their stuff together financially, have a decent attitude, is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Okay? Even the guys that are considered the dweebs and the nerds nowadays are like, yeah, I'm making good money. You might not have liked me in high school, but I'm good. That pool is getting smaller and smaller. So to the females that acted like that woman in the TikTok video, your feelings are going to continuously get hurt. Now, to the females that agreed with most people that said, hey, what she did was wrong in regards to the Cheesecake Factory issue, that's what's up. So that's why I said I'm not picking on any females and gender the gender war nonsense. I'm not with that crap. But what I am saying is, to the ones who act like that female talking about I'm too good to eat at Cheesecake Factory, I'm like, most females I know just be happy the man's taking them out and just wants to have a good time. The man's not talking about sex. The man's not trying to just get in your drawers and whatnot. That man's trying to court you and be civil towards you and be decent towards you. Because I know a lot of females deal with a lot of jerk guys. Trust me, especially in today's world. Because a lot of guys, especially be in the female's inbox, just like, yeah, let me get it. Let me get it. Let me get it. Let me get it. I just want it. I just want it. I just want it. And they straight up with it. But the good thing is, to the females, are like, hey, if you don't want that energy, you block them, cuss them out, you do what you do. And that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. Because you let them know what it is. All right? That's how I see it. So honesty is the best remedy. But a lot of times people just can't handle the truth. So on that note, I'm out. Do the great three things. Like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day. And as the shirt says, make money moves or you're going to live, bro, like a fool. Take care.